I'm Anna.
And I'm Ben.
And we are AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Last episode of Attack on Titan. I don't know. We're on episode 20 now. Last episode was a little, dare I say, lackluster. Look.
Stole the words right out my mouth.
There are many shows in anime that have filler episodes. We've seen it in Naruto and Dragon Ball Z, and I feel like last episode is just another Attack on Titan meaningless filler episode. And maybe, if we're lucky enough, one day, Attack on Titan will be remade as a AOT Kai or AOT Brotherhood, where we don't have to sit through those pointless episodes, you know?
Yeah.
But
True to the story, like, come on.
Books.
Books.
We got books.
Books.
You ever hear the song? It's like, I'm reading a book, man. I'm reading
No.
a book. Don't you ever interrupt me while I'm reading a book. That's what I feel like right now. We have 3 books, and I want to read them all. One of them has a picture on it. It's a photo of what I think Zeke.
A photo?
Yeah, I think it's Zeke.
It's not a drawing?
No, it's a photo of what I think Zeke on Grisha's wife's lap, or I don't know, baby mama's lap. I think that there's something there.
Probably married.
Okay, so in my opinion, I don't think it's 3 books that's like the same linear story, 1, 2, 3.
Like a
you know,
journal and you just
I would think that
book?
each book has their own separate purpose.
Yeah, that's why they're color coded.
Yeah. Granted, if you get like a pack of books at like a store, they're always like different colored.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We both picked the red binding for our Attack on Titan books.
Because of the blood.
Because of blood.
But I think that the book that we saw the photo in front of, I believe that would probably house the history of Grisha. Maybe the next book would be his life within the walls as we know it, and then a third being like a plan, like the founding, like why he chose to steal the founding Titan's power.
Do they all include photographs? Is this the only photo album? Is this first book they picked up? Are they going to open the books before handing them over to Historia?
That's a good question, because so where we're picking up this episode, I think is either going to be like a Historia POV, because that's where we're going. We're going back. We're returning. All 9 of us are returning on this mission, right? So like it was
like really nice to see everyone cheering and happy. But I almost feel like no one told them that only like 9 scouts survived.
Hey man, mission complete. We got there. We got something out of it at least, right?
I mean, you got a huge thing out of it. That is basically a ginormous city of houses and land that has been unable to be used for a long time. As
well as Armand Titan. Armor Titan,
but Armin.
So we got that, and we got books.
Armin likes books.
Yeah, I'm excited for Armin to really get into that knowledge. I'm excited for us to get into the knowledge. So, okay. So, I think we're going to pick up...
Armin wasn't there when we got the books.
Yeah. I think we're going to pick up either in Historia's POV, we're returning, she learns of Erwin's death, and then we get more exposition on the books. Or we pick up right where we left off in the after-credit scene that I'm still a little bit uncomfortable about because we didn't know if we were allowed to watch it, but we did.
It also just came out of nowhere for me and doesn't necessarily fit into where my mind was going with this story.
In this city with airships.
I need more explanation, which I'm sure they will give me.
I wonder if the whole humanity living in elegance was... Are you living in elegance because you're ignorant of there being Titans, or are you living in elegance because you've learned to deal with those Titans?
Just further technology.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. They feel fancy because they have light bulbs and not new glowing ore that's created by Titans.
Yeah. Okay. We have like, sure, those photography fucks versus us. We have thunder spears. We have real technology.
That's
cool
the mark.
Stuff. I don't know. Photography's cool.
I mean, photography is cool, yes. But
I'm defensive.
I think you're onto something, because the mark of a great society and its advancement is harnessing thunder into spear form.
Zeus?
Yeah.
You'd
be proud.
You ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. Oh!
I thought it was the interior, but it's not.
I'm assuming this is right where we left off, them running through the gate. Why are they so surprised? Did they not know how advanced their civilization was? None of them are wearing bands, are they?
Devil bloods.
Eldians.
Wow.
お前たちも飛行船を見に来たのか。はい。レベリオ収容区のものだな。許可証を見せろ。無許可で市内に入ったんだな。労働か制裁か。制裁を。兄さん。親に迷惑はかけたくないか。無理やり連れ出しました。妹の分も僕にせ。兄さん。ほら、ジョーちゃんは先に帰ろうね。
What the fuck?
Their paradise?
Death, assuming?
Or are Eldians people that can turn into Titans?
Oh, like those destined to be turned into Titans, maybe?
Or they already can?
仕事が忙しくてなく町をうろつくのが悪い。よく理解していないようだが、過ちはしっかり教育している。
The sins that your ancestors committed. Marley.
教育し直しておきますので。たちにへりくだったするような憎しみを覚え、自分の愚かさを呪った。
We already got so much information that I. Ymir. A contract with the... What? What is going on?
9 Titans.
What the fuck is happening?
大陸の支配者となる。決めつけ弾圧を始めた。土地や財産を奪い、ユミルの民を増やした。かが約1700年続いた。巨人のうち7つ
Under their own control.
80に勝利したのだ。
3 walls?
The island of paradise.
That's
an
where the
island.
king went!
父親にしては饒舌だった。する姿は犬さながらであった。子は嘘をついてた。から嘘をついた。言うな。きっとあの男がフェイを。黙れ！の祖先は大罪人だ。優勢者を。俺もフェイもそんなことしてない。マと母さんと楽園に行きたいのか。たでなくても関係ないことだ。つつましく生きること。
Internment zone.
に合わせないでくれ。
Giving him the blame of leading her to that fate.
私かこの世界か。
Both and not you.
おそらくは両方だろう。世界は理不尽で狂っている。道を見つけたのは18の時、補助を継ごうとしていた頃だった。
Medicine.
この切り傷はどうしました？は同胞の証です。
Patriot.
同胞局の男に殺された。
Like rebel fighters?
マーレ政府の内通者がいます。詳しい話をお聞かせしましょう。そんなことが。だ時、心に誓った。本当の悪魔はどちらか教えてやる。再び世界を正すためには、エルディアを復活させなくてはならない。マーレ政府の内通
Is that why he wanted the founding Titan power?
復権派を導いた。
Do they call it restorationists?
巨人の力に目覚め。
This is probably how the religion worked, right?
峠には橋を架けた。この大陸を発展させたんだ。歴史はすべてマーレにつグリシャ。よくこの古語が読めた。解読できてないんだ。なぜ真実がわかる。そんなことすぐにわかるだろう。始祖ユミルを信じている。俺たちはどうしよう。フクロウが人を使わしたぞ。はじめまして。
His first wife?
私はダイナフリッツと申します。オーケーの。
What is happening?
その身を委ねた。最後の一人であり、オーケーだけが持つ巨人。始祖の巨人。
He went to go get it.
他の巨人マーレを打ち滅ぼすことができる。この絶対的な力を持っておきながら戦うことを否定したからです。巨人対戦時
They have weapons! Holy shit!
始祖の巨人をお納めするのだ。の誇りを取り戻すのだ。
Did he like abandon this girl?
私たちは結婚した。
Oh
You
my god!
them! You never went back. You had your own new family, Zeke. So he's related to Historia.
Restorationist is such a good name. Are we watching the same show? We saw that. We saw that. He looked familiar as a Titan, didn't he? Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. One's belief onto your children.
I need a drink.
He did what?
Ymir? Oh my god!
No! This is
what... Look, it's one!
Oh my god.
So they take them here, turn them into Titans and throw them off the wall?
Is that the same guy? It's like the interior police.
Fuck. God. Ah! Stop! Stop telling me things! And the first person who told him about it. Did Aaron's mom kill Aaron's mom? How far? Fuck.
Doesn't the one with the beard look familiar from the first season?
Did Grisha's wife eat Aaron's mom?
Oh my god, oh my god.
This guy's saving her-ish. I don't know. What's happening?
No, I think he's trying to help.
Yeah, but why? For him? To save him? Don't.
Come and find you.
Oh,
she goes
don't.
Right to
Stop
his house.
it.
Oh my god, oh my, it is. It's so
Fuck
is.
you. He can remember his dad's memories.
I can't even concentrate on Mikasa's bedhead.
It looks so attractive. Fuck this show. They have control over it. It's Darius. Without even...
Plot twist. Oh my god.
Kruger, right? We've seen that Titan.
I know, we have.
Oh! Are you gonna have Grisha eat you? Look at that!
Or carry him there to the walls and drop him off.
Then do it? Okay, that was a mess.
You know, they really got the books out and were like, let's learn some history. Let's get down to the books and we're gonna study. That's how it felt. And it did feel like a lecture from a teacher, and I mean that in a joking way, because so much information was verbally given to me and also kind of visually given to me that I felt like I was like sitting in a lecture hall or something. Yeah. So I was trying to take notes as fast as I could.
Here we go. I say that, shoot me down if you'd like. I say that I personally have a lot to comment on or try to read into in this episode. But for me, I would like to try, I'm not going to get them right, but try to get the facts correct in my head.
Okay.
Before we go off on that, right? There's only a few things that I definitely need clarification on, because there's a lot of information about the history of Eldia and Eldians that I wasn't 100% on. So just please do me a favor of rereading this information and trying to contain it. So it all starts off when Grisha's father is explaining to him the history. We've seen this picture. We've seen it, right, from the get-go.
Okay. 1,820 years ago is where the story sets its scene.
You already wonder what life's like back then, but like what civilization is like then when this even happens.
I mean, the trees looked like curly fries, so it was obviously a super different place.
So Ymir Fritz, which is the craziest like timey-wimey Ymir, and then Historia.
Just a combination of names.
Like, I'm like,
right there,
what is even happening?
I mean, it honestly, I know I'm not going to get into it other than saying we understand now exactly what happened to Ymir in her flashback that we got so long ago.
Yes, yeah. So Ymir Fritz made a contract with the devil of all Earth and obtained the power of the Titans.
Well, if you're using the term already off the bat in this history as the devils, then it definitely fits with the language that Reiner, Berthold, Annie, Zeke, all of them use towards the people that live in the walls.
Yes, correct. That's a good catch. One thing I would like to come back to, once we're done getting the facts, I'm going to star, is I would love to go back to when we see this picture in the book of, in Historia's book, when she is being taught this story. But this taught a story from a book with a similar image in it, right?
I can't remember exactly what she said, but she commented on something about the girl herself. Maybe disagreeing with the girl's actions or something like that. So that's a good thing to want to go back to.
I would love to go back to that once we get the idea of, like, Devil of all Earth has me.
Where do you find something like that?
Where do I what am I supposed to think? Like, okay, when I hear all Earth, it makes me think of Middle Earth, and all Earth is like its own place, or like I don't know, its own thing. I have I just like relate it to what we know as the devil? It obviously has like a horn and hooves kind of.
I think unfortunately this is history and iconography. Words are hard. Sometimes they don't sound right when they start to come out. This image is from the history books that Marley allows. So I think we don't actually know what this creature or thing that Ymir Fritz made a deal with actually looked like or actually was.
Correct. And it's even like that's what skews the whole thing, the whole story all the time for us, right? We're not being told something as a definitive fact. We're being told something as somebody's story
that they're trying to have everyone believe.
Yes. So we have Ymir Fritz, a seemingly normal person, go up to the Devil of all Earth and obtain power of the Titans from them. Upon her death, Ymir's spirit was split into 9 Titans.
Okay. 9 Titans.
Upon her death. Is it safe to say that was the... No, because that was a king. Like, I'm thinking back to the outro of them feasting on a body.
I think that was further in history.
Okay. So 9 Titans were formed from Ymir Fritz's death, who formed
the Eldian Empire.
Eldian Empire. I'm sorry, I'm trying to like think of this discussion like as I would like potentially timestamp it or I'm trying to be like there's a lot of information and the only way for me to ever make sense of it is trying to be organized about it. Right?
This is the most I've felt like I'm reading a history book.
Yeah.
Which is like, I love that. I'm really for that.
After defeating the great nation of Marley, they ruled over the continent. Why?
Why? Why did they defeat Marley?
Yeah.
Is that your question?
Yes. Why did they want to?
Dwindling resources is the reason Marley wants to go after the Walden city.
Okay.
So I think there's a lot of reasons that people fight, and resources is a big reason that they would fight.
But what? Like, so the Eldians were already given a lesser status than these people, the Marleyans, before the Titan thing even happened.
No.
But why are they feeling the need to fight?
Like I just said, they're different nations. And so they're gonna either try to conquer the other nation or they're fighting over resources. Yeah, they are not lesser than them yet.
Well, they're on opposing sides even before this thing happened, right?
But they're not like the minority that's being treated horribly. They're a completely different
So would you say
nation.
that they're living in a different place, or are they living in the same place?
No, not in the same place.
So if this...
Different nations.
So what I'm saying is if they are... Okay. Do you think that the Eldian Empire, then, are they the aggressors?
We don't know that.
Well,
they haven't been told.
I know, but I'm like from this information that we're gathering. So if you have like play it out, right? You have a pre-established civilization and then
another pre-established civilization.
Ish.
Or a newly established civilization somewhere else.
At the moment, we have one world we're living in where Ymir Fritz goes to the Devil of all Earth, right? And gets these powers. We don't know what like anything past that. That's the oldest history we have, is starting with Ymir Fritz.
And then she starts her own empire, which it would probably be big with a lot of people.
But we don't know what she did, do we?
What do you mean? What she did?
Like the specifics of what Ymir Fritz did.
When? When and where?
After she made a contract to obtain the power of the Titans.
Yes, we do know what she did. She had all of her, after she, well...
We don't know what she did. Upon her death, we know what the Eldian Empire did. Yes. She obviously didn't make war. She didn't want this to do war. Later on, I think we touch on it again about her history potentially being ones that built bridges and something like that. But I'm just saying, isolated, Ymir Fritz never caused war from what we know, right?
Okay. True.
So, Ymir's spirit was split into the 9 Titans who formed the Eldian Empire. This one had a mallet. That's crazy, man. After defeating the great nation of Marley, they ruled over the continent. This looked very similar to the imagery we had in the church in, I think, season 1. But the only difference is that there were no Titans in that imagery and they were just humans. But like the weaponry looked very similar to me.
Oh no, I don't think it was the church. It was the courtroom.
The courthouse. You're very right. Yeah.
And it was on the ceiling, and it was humans fighting humans, which we were like, oh well, I guess in a whole well-built world, there of course would be conflict between different places, different people.
Yeah. So thus, like this information after the Eldian Empire defeated Marley for rule. That started the Dark Ages, which is a reminder that all this information that we've been given is a Eldian who's living amongst the mindset that they are in the wrong and they are trying to...
They are indoctrinated with these beliefs of the Marley people.
Which is interesting because even under their rule, they weren't... all they knew of Ymir Fritz was that she was the one who made the contract and then died. That's all they know about her, which is very interesting to me. The subjects of Ymir called other races inferior and began to oppress them.
So using her name and her power, once she was gone,
they
then stole lands, forced other races to bear their children to increase their numbers. Ethnic cleansing continued for 1,700
which is
years.
Basically to the day that we are caught up to historically, right? Which, like, just to make a note of, we are living with the Eldians, right? Like, that's us within the walls. Yes. We are also the people without a memory. So it does, in one sense, vilify us. Like, I'm saying us, like we are a part of the main, but just like, for ease of me, like for us, that's already starting off of a bad foot for us. Why would we need to forget this history if we were in the right? You know?
Well, all I can bank on with an explanation is that the king warned that if Marley ever came to the walls and to the city, there would be an army of Titans waiting for him, which in my mind is have everyone live in ignorant bliss, and then there will be a war call if needed, and everyone will immediately turn into Titans.
Oh, interesting. So they brought 7 of the 9 Titans under their control and were victorious. So this is when I started getting like, oh my god, what's happening?
Wait, so 7 of the 9. How many are inside the walls?
Okay, so under this history, right? Like, we've already, like, the Eldians, the people with this power, have already for lack of a better term, colonized people and used their people to make more ancestors, right? The once great nation of Marley plotted to subvert Eldia and its arrogance from within. They brought 7 of the 9 Titans under their control. How? Like, is it like of actual, like, you have control over them, or you have like talked with them and like, are you on the same side?
So I'm gonna go with a theory that I think is already within the means of the show by this episode.
Yeah.
Which is you have people like Zeke, who was Eldian, but decides to side with Marley. And he can be turned into it. Those people that are Eldian blood can be turned into Titans, and then you fight the other Titan and win and take their power. I feel like maybe that is a realistic place for an explanation for that that fits with the story.
I like that. 80 years ago. Man, that could be its whole like anime, the Great Titan War. But it is interesting though, right? That you have 9 people, you have 9 of these Eldian Empire, and 7 of them are like going a different direction. The Eldian king at the time erected 3 walls on the island of Paradise or Paradis?
Paradis, but it seems like it's gotten kind of they've given it kind of a nickname now as Paradise.
Yeah.
It seems like it's more of a snarky nickname for Paradis by the Marley people.
True. Which I'm like, okay, I like that. That's like a little bit of world building in there.
And seeing the island there brings us back to an outro probably from season 2, I believe, where we see Titans basically coming out of the water.
Correct.
Toward walls with people fighting them. And we were like, so Titans basically, do they walk like on the sand, you know? How's that happening? Or no, did they take them to the island first and then there's a wall there that they drop them off at?
Were the walls already constructed and erected, and then the Eldian king took them back? Because you're right, we did have that imagery of what looked like walls being attacked, and from what we understand, that didn't happen to
You know that... I don't know, because location-wise, that could have also been a depiction of the Titans coming from the Eldian Empire to Marley and fighting the Marley people.
But there's a desert in front of Marley. There's a whole water in front of the island. Oh, no, you're right.
They're pushing them off on the desert side.
Well, no, but that's a good...
So are they taking them across the water first to the Paradis kind of land... and then shoving them over a wall that they constructed?
We saw Titans coming out of water attacking some sort of castle-like fortress. We didn't see that at the port on the island of Paradis, like a castle structure. It could be something yet to come, or it could be something like a history we don't know yet. But, because that's a really good point. That's interesting. He fled to this island with many of his people. Our ancestors were abandoned and left behind on this continent. But...
And if you look at that map, it seems like there's different labels.
Know.
So I'm like...
I love maps. No, but it does look like it's a peninsula itself on the main island, right? On the main continent. It looks like it is... There's water on both sides. It's not like a, I would love to have like a kilometer, mile per inch... I love this stuff. Think about all of the huge maps we've gotten in the first couple seasons of what it looks like within only the 3 walls. Yeah. This is insane. It's Pangea. This is nuts. The gracious people of Marley let us live and stay on their land. My father was talking from... Yeah, okay. That, don't worry. If I was talking to myself almost. I want to talk about everything that happened with Grisha's family and who Grisha's sister was before that happened. So we had Grisha learn the truth of his sister's death, and then he started getting into his work with the Restorationists, which, sidebar, an absolutely great name.
It's a great name.
I would love to see where they got these ancient like scrolls and texts.
Well, I'm sure it's similar to how Armin has a book that people kind of smuggled them and kept them, but the Marley people might have tried to eradicate all of that information.
So I was immediately put into a place of worry once Grisha was asked about how he was so sure of this, and he was like, well, duh, like that, like, of course they'd do that. I was like immediately shot to the heart, a little bit worried, because Grisha had said that Ymir used this power to cultivate the wilds, build roads, and bridge mountains.
I mean, like, that's obviously like the top of a wall, and how we bring horses along the walls. Like, like we can bring them up and over the walls.
Wasn't there
and then there's Titans inside the walls holding it up?
Wasn't there some stitched thing that Mikasa's family had? Remember?
No.
I felt like there was some stitched thing that I looked at in her house.
Maybe.
And like Mikasa's, one of her parents were like, don't forget the stitching or something.
Oh, I think it was more like a pattern. Go back to because it was a way that she stitched. It was a shape that she created. It was the stars.
Was it?
It was 100% the stars. Was it? Yes. I'm almost completely positive.
If I'm honest, I don't know what episode
stars.
it would be in, so like it would take me a while to go back and find it.
It's the episode where I think it's either episode 5 or episode 3 of season 1 where Mikasa gets the scarf from Eren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's episode 6. I thought it could be an interesting connection, right?
Yeah.
Where
am I getting that star shape, though? I don't know. I've seen it before. But
regardless, it's very interesting. I'd love to see where they got this. And obviously, this is some history, right? What I don't understand of this depiction is what the regular-sized people are doing at the bottom. Are they herding cattle, or...?
They're levitating deer.
I love to levitate some deer, dude. You ever levitate a deer?
All the time.
The history we were taught is just convenient, impressive Grisha. I still haven't deciphered most of it. Do you think they do speak a completely different language and Grisha was just kind of like learning as we go, like, to the language that we speak?
That might be the case. He did have limited memories when he came, so he could definitely feign that he forgot to like a lot of words. So he came from another place. They didn't know anything about him. So I could totally see him being like, I only know a few words, like my name, and them like teaching him how to speak again or something.
Yeah. So one of the last pieces of information I really just want to understand before we can go, like what we've written down and stuff, was once the Fritz walks in the room, right? At the time of the Great Titan War.
Into a bar.
Okay, I have so many questions about this picture and understanding it. They are riding things. They are riding like Titan dogs. Do you not see that? Like, what is happening? They have Titan weapons, which I've always wanted. Those don't look like humans on all fours in the back there. They look like Pokemon. They look like something crazy, you know?
I don't know what to think about the
like
animalistic things that are also. It makes me think remember that part of the intro, I think it might have been last season, where the Beast Titan's walking and all those animals are walking next to him and the dinosaurs?
The king abandoned his role of balancing the continent's power and moved the capital to a remote island. And so, these wretched days we live all began when the king turned away from conflict.
It makes sense why he would teach such pacifist kind of ideals to the Fritz family, and it'd be passed down to not fight the Titans and to not leave the walls.
Yeah.
Because he only said he would fight if his walled kingdom came under attack.
Okay. We're at like a pretty solid baseline, I think, right?
Okay.
Let's go from the beginning.
Didn't we just do that?
No. We went for the history, okay? Now we go from the beginning of this episode.
God, there's some things I don't want to see.
We have to. It's our job. Like this big airship and its cool
I'm cool
house.
with this because it's a really pretty landscape.
It's a really cool house for an airship. Big doors.
It lives in there.
Oh, so cool. I want an airship.
Where are you gonna put it?
So right off the bat, we are introduced to this pretty well-off, beautiful landscape, and the immediate realization that the only two people we can see wearing these Eldian armbands are Grisha and Faye, right?
Yes.
And we come across these two soldiers in front of the airship.
The kids must mix for school. Because if he was told about this place you can go to see the airships by the teacher, then either the teacher is a Marley resident, a Marley person, and teaches Eldian children, or they have mixed classrooms.
I would think they had
sense.
mixed classrooms, but I think that you can get a permit to leave the Liberio
internment area.
Internment, the Liberio
See, I'm
internment
gonna
zone.
go opposite and say that they had Marley teachers who would come into the area and indoctrinate the Marley teachings, just to make sure and ensure that the kids were getting taught Marley history.
So I'm gonna ask you this because I might have just skipped over it on our long trying to get on a good baseline section. Where was it stated that all ancestors of Ymir Fritz have the power to turn into Titans, whereas
The very end of the episode.
At the very end of the episode?
I believe it is when they are all on the wall about to be pushed over. And
but it was from another character's dialogue. It was from a Marleyan.
From the mean guy.
So
the gross guy.
So that's like,
who thinks that he might die tomorrow, so he might as well have little girls be eaten by dogs now.
That's like half-truth, right? That's like lore. Like, it's not fact.
What, that he had her killed by dogs?
No, that everybody who has come from a lineage of Ymir Fritz has the power to turn into a Titan in just that.
They've seen it happen. This is obviously something they've been doing to Eldians that act up, is they send them to paradise. So they probably have experimented on their own bodies to see if they can also do this.
We don't know that though, right?
I know, but just, you would think they would have.
In the Great Titan War, was that only between the Eldian Titans, the 9 of them, 7 versus 2, or was that... It's really hard for me to believe that in the Great Titan War, 7 Eldian Titans could take on 2 Eldian Empire Titans and then every other Eldian person who has the ability to turn into a Titan.
Well, you're fighting a bunch of just, what do they call them, plain Titans?
That's true. So the Eldian Titans were the intelligent ones.
That's why I believe there had to be people, Eldians, that were traitors.
So that's a really good point.
Or they had some weapon that was really useful against Titans.
So let's say that there's only 9 people, like just for the sake of this theory that I have, there's only 9 permanent Titan human transformation powers that exist.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
There's only
Period.
9.
There's only 9. So every
so only
other
9 people can transform.
Only 9 people at a current time or less, depending on if you lose them, have the ability to turn from human into Titan and back.
Okay, which fits with what we've already been thinking was the case.
The only people who have the ability to be passed on that power are Eldians.
Yes.
We had Ymir slash who did Ymir take the power from?
Who did Ymir take the power from?
Mm-hmm. Marcel.
Marcel.
We have Ymir Marcel. We have Reiner. We have Berthold. We have Zeke. We have Eren. That's 5. We had the founding Titan being 6. We had, who I believe to be 1, but could be wrong, Kruger, but now Grisha being 7. That could account for the 7, or that could account for 7 of them.
Mm.
Maybe all 7 of the ones that deferred from the 9 original Eldian Empire Titans.
Why is Kruger one of them?
Because I'm going off the theory that at the end of the episode, we didn't see Grisha be given the power to turn into a Titan intelligently and back. We saw his comrades being turned into normal Titans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to assume that Grisha has the power to turn back into a human because looked like he was cracking a chip over his back, so it looked pretty intelligent. And he was going to teach that information
Kruger?
to Grisha. Correct,
Okay.
Kruger. And he was going to teach that information to Grisha before having Grisha maybe eat him and get that power. Because we obviously see Grisha later in the timeline use the power to turn into a Titan.
But would the owl sacrifice himself for this one person to send him off on this mission?
To get the founding Titan's power before the Marleyans? Maybe. Because it's
You're
a time
putting
crunch.
a lot of... I mean, it fits with... this is just consistent. That, like, people putting all of this, like, stake on their kid. Like,
Mhm.
you have to be doing this.
Yeah.
And it's nice because it's at first, because it seems like Grisha, when he was raising Eren to begin with, attempted to not put anything onto Eren. No expectations, no pressures, no nothing. But once he was faced with having to, he then did the repeat of what he had done with his first son and what his father had done to him, which is place all of this on and his wants and his thoughts and his history onto his son.
It's an awful thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we saw Zeke talk about his father in that light as well, right? I mean, if I'm going to assume maybe that Zeke's grandparents, other than telling him the Marleyan ways and what that history is sometimes, they probably spent a lot of the day caring and loving for him and spending one-on-one time with him rather than just shoving down his throat this narrative and your future and,
Especially if you're going with I think it's possibly a good guess to say that Grisha was very busy as a doctor since he took over his father's practice, which would mean that his son would have spent a lot of time maybe being watched by his retired grandparents.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that father was like, let me tell you my history that I like to talk about, even though my daughter just died. So I feel like they got to Zeke before Grisha even got to him.
You know how we're always on this side in this show about, like, like, it's proven time and time again, whatever villain is made out to us, they also have motives.
Of course villains have motives.
Well, like, they also have, their motives aren't black or white. It seems like there's constantly a reason that at least we could argue for one way or another. Reasons that we can
understand.
Correct.
Okay, and not just that they are crazy.
We had lines delivered from the Marlians about how the Eldians, like, believed in eugenics. And, like, that's, like, of course, like a, how do you not focus on that word based off of IRL history, right? It's a very, like, compelling argument to vilify these people. If they truthfully did believe in that, then of course I'm not going to be on their side.
And if the history is true that they just basically tried to spread over all of these other nations and pillage and take and make everyone else a part of their empire, their bloodline. So of course there'd be reason to hate them.
Of course, but we don't know why Ymir Fritz went to the Devil of All Earth, and we don't know what that side is. If for any other for any other situation or fictional story, I would not try to make this argument because it's pretty clear that you could derive it as something villainous. But for the show and the amount of gray moral standard that it's constantly meets, you have to wonder what the other side of that coin is. Why, what happened to make the Eldian people want to spread as much of their bloodline as possible and complete this?
Power goes to people's head. Maybe they were like, well, our leader that we split from didn't do this, but she could have. And we should do it because we were gifted this power. And so obviously we're supposed to rule because we have this great power. And so it was one of those power things going to their head where they thought they had been gifted this thing from God or from the devil, and they should be the top of the food chain.
At the moment, the only benefit I can tell from being a part of the Eldian lineage is 9 people. Is after Ymir, only 9 people get a benefit from it. What? Everybody else who's born from it just has a power to be...
It's a curse.
Yeah, but why? Like, so, like, realistically...
Well, I mean, if it fits with the devil story that,
But from their side, I'm talking. From the Eldian point of view, from Ymir Fritz, in this scenario, let's paint her as a hero. Mm-hmm. Let's, like... we've been told the villainous side of eugenics and Ymir Fritz and everything after her wanting to terrorize these places and spread their genetics everywhere. From, like, factual evidence we have, there's not too much of a benefit for majority of these people who are Eldians. What deal did Ymir Fritz make? What benefit could there have been? Do you get a healthier existence? Are you less prone to illness being given this?
Live forever. Immortality.
But the Eldian people, the mass Eldian people we know, which are Grisha, which is Faye, which is Grisha's parents, which are
why was she making it for a bunch of people? She didn't have to make the deal thinking that she was going to be the ruler of people. She maybe made the deal because she wanted to be immortal and she wanted her direct kids to be immortal or something like that. And founding Titan power passed on, you know?
And they...
Who cares about the other people?
But they did care about the other people. They cared about spreading their lineage. They cared about spreading their bloodline. And
but that doesn't mean you cared so that these people would also have... Yeah. Because they were powerful.
Yeah, that's fair.
And they wanted to conquer.
And do these messed up things.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of easy sense. What I'm trying to do is argue another side.
A non-easy sense way?
Sure. Because, I mean, time and time again, we're shown that, right? Mm. We didn't know that there was another civilization like this. But they had... all we knew is that at, episode something of season 2, our friends and comrades betrayed us to try to kill our entire civilization. We didn't know what their motive backing that was. We're still figuring it out. So I'm just very interested to see.
So they have to wipe out this humanity in the walls because not only are they spawns of the devil basically, but we know from this point in history, which is obviously I don't know how old we can say Grisha is, but at least maybe 50, somewhere maybe 50 years or so in the past, they were already having dwindling resources, that they were needing to look at whatever would be in the walls. So they started and launched this attack because they needed those resources. So it has been probably however old Grisha is, or something like that time period, that their resources are plummeting even more than they already said we need to go attack the walls and get these resources.
Yeah.
So it's already like, of course they're going to send warriors in to kill off those people now, because maybe they've been making attempts in the past to get those resources and it has failed. And so they're now focusing on wiping out all of these devils and taking the resources for themselves.
So I'm wondering if so Grisha was, okay, correct me if I'm wrong here. Ymir it comes from a time before Grisha.
No.
Yes.
No.
Ymir was wandering for about 60 years outside the walls before she was turned back.
Mm-hmm.
Grisha wasn't...
It was 50 years.
It
was 50 years, I believe.
Outside the walls?
Mm-hmm. I believe it's 50.
Okay, I could be wrong. I had 60 in my notes, but regardless, right now, as we're talking, right, how long of a time...
I would say she was pushed over the walls 10 years before Grisha was.
Yeah, so she comes from a time before Grisha.
Oh, when you said before Grisha, I felt like you meant like a long time before. She was probably a few years before. Like, it was while they were doing this paradise thing.
So when she was pushed off the walls was closer to that War of the Titans than when Grisha was, right?
Yes.
So
slightly, probably.
It would probably make sense that like the Ymir religion is still going strong a few years, 10 years, 20 years before Grisha is put into this position, right? It's like, it's such an interesting world to think of. Like we had lines like the blood of the king will save everyone, and like it makes like I really.
Of course, there would be cults and sects that would try to say that they were basically Dina Fritz or had the blood of the king, but Dina never. She didn't put herself in front of these. She specifically chose to put her life on the line, basically, by in front of the restorationists, in front of these people who she believed, and maybe the owl sent her, right? So she must have. It was brave of her, and I think she made that choice because she thought she'd rather put her life on the line with people that were also going to fight, and not just people that wanted to sit around in a circle and bow to her on a throne, which is what happened with the Ymir we know. She was placed there as a figurehead, as someone that was there to give other people hope, but they weren't going to do anything. They weren't going to fight because they were inherently pacifists as well.
Yeah.
And then like Kruger made it so Grisha made sure, like cut him off when he was saying that she was royal.
Yeah.
Kruger was like, do not tell this man that. Because I wonder what he would have done. Would he have taken her away and done something else to her? Like, what could he have done to her that was worse than pushing her off into paradise?
Do you think Kruger was on the Eldian side before he met Grisha?
Yes.
Yeah?
I think
based off of how he was talking to him, right?
Well, he has to handle things appropriately to the society that he's in. So the way he handled things was stern, but slightly gentle enough that it seemed like he was still looking out for Grisha, but it was stern enough that it wouldn't turn heads.
Yeah.
Like, you're acting not in a way you should be. And he never showed his face to the restorationists. So I believe he's been doing this, or was doing this for a while, and he obviously is Eldian, so how did he...
Is he obviously Eldian?
Well, he was able to turn into a Titan. And at the moment, we're operating the Eldians.
Yeah, my fault.
And so we know that now they're missing resources, and they're trying to recruit Eldians to be able to take these Titan powers and fight with them.
Are they? We haven't gotten to that part. Is that a thing?
That's what happened.
I know, I told you, I haven't absorbed all the information yet. I'm trying to go through the episode chronologically.
Okay. Okay, well then I'm just
pinning it.
Not gonna go there.
Okay. Next, I would like to talk about how Faye was brutally murdered by a pack of dogs.
No, his son's dogs.
Yeah. It was messed up, man.
Like, what is the point? There was no point.
Most pain. Like, this dick is on the, like, YOLO train like I've never seen. He
literally
YOLO.
Is like, I want to die having done something evil every single day. Like, that is his thing that makes him happy. It's
horrific. And then we meet the one and only Dina.
Mm-hmm.
Dina Fritz. Who is the last descendant of the royal blood. That was a big punch in the gut because it threw me for a little bit of a loop in a sense, because Historia and Eren aren't as related as like we might make it seem, right?
I mean, they're as related as
any Eldian is to
any Eldian inside the walls, right?
Exactly. Because it, like, obviously Eren doesn't share any blood with Dina.
No. But they're related in a way that is through marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's a distant relative of Historia's, and she married the father of Eren.
Eren's half-brother.
So they're related by marriage.
Eren's half-brother is Zeke.
Mm-hmm.
Eren's half-brother's mother is Dina.
Mm-hmm. Who is related to Historia.
Yeah.
By distant blood and by marriage.
Yeah. So we're getting up to the illustrations of the Great Titan War again. We talked about it a minute ago, but it's very interesting because we saw in, I think, one of the first episodes of the series, humans being like walked through this like path in between two canyons. And this imagery is Titans and humans fighting on either side of a canyon, where, in my opinion, I think the one with the arrows is probably going to win.
I have a feeling that that image we saw of them walking through the canyon, we might be seeing the upper view of it, because I believe you see Titans on the peaks possibly, and then the people walking through the canyon. So it could be that the nine Titans and other Eldian soldiers fought back the Marley as they escaped. So a war was happening while the escape was also happening.
I could see that. Like, hold them off while we try to... Yeah,
and as many people get there as possible. But I think I just realized something that I don't think we necessarily, or I didn't at least, think of the extent that this pillaging and furthering their DNA and taking over more and more places got. But inside the walls, we have the last Japanese people, right?
Yeah.
So that means, like, and there's like a bunch of, I think there's
probably...
Well,
that we know.
Well, I'm just saying that means that they got there. That they got to a bunch of different places. Different continents. Even, maybe.
Titans?
Yes, the Eldian Empire. Like, they at least spread and got people of other ethnicities and not just Marley people.
Oh, yeah,
That's
I see what you mean.
saying.
Yes, and then before
they had a further reach
off.
Than I initially thought that they did.
Well, it makes you think there was something to hold on to, right? It makes you think that there was something peaceful, good, and a legitimate reason to stand behind the Eldian people, the people who did flee, you know? Like,
but they didn't want to fight.
Yeah, and and not only just fighting from like the top, the leader's perspective, but people must have enjoyed living under them and within their rule to be able to escape with them in the first place, unless they were doing that mindlessly, you know?
It also might have given them some satisfaction to self-blame as well.
Yeah.
That like, you're turning over a new leaf, you're going to be righteous even though your ancestors are the ones that did the wrong and you're not directly responsible. Kind of like the energy that Grisha's father had, which was like, we did something wrong. I didn't directly do it, but we still hold that burden and we're going to live by their rules and that sort of thing. But they also probably didn't want to be treated poorly, and so they left.
Oh, I'm trying to pull up a picture I saw. One of my favorite things in the show is like the fact that we get to see like illustrations on like a wall that isn't really focused on, and like I'm like, you know, it's like a little bit of like detective or just wanting to know more of the history.
Both the Emirs had the same haircut.
They did.
And I think we also saw an image of Ymir reading from a text in front of her people as well.
What is the image that they have up?
We've seen that in an outro, right?
Yeah.
That has definitely been an outro. It's Ymir and then the 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't think that's 9. No, wait,
8.
There was a smaller one next to one of the ones I wasn't seeing.
I count
1, 2,
9
3,
including
4,
Ymir
5,
though.
6, 7, 8, and then the founding Titan power.
Which wouldn't add up, no?
Well, the founding Titan power would be given to her children.
But so then not so would you say
she died and then it was passed on to her child.
Not her
so there
child.
was still 9.
Just 9. And though like so are these the 9? Ymir isn't pictured here? Is that what you're saying?
No, that is not what I'm saying.
But so if Ymir, are you saying Ymir is pictured here?
Mm-hmm. I'm saying that she
is the one holding up the light?
Yes.
But
and that when she dies, then another one of her children takes the founding Titan power.
And I'm saying there's only 8 here,
yes.
excluding her. But we know that
the founding Titan is the 9th, is what I'm saying is probably the case.
I thought that they told us in this episode that on Ymir's death, 9 Titans were bestowed with this power. It wasn't like throughout
like a
her
new
life.
Founding Titan.
It wasn't throughout her. So you're okay. So like you're thinking about it in like correlation to like how the Reese family works,
yes.
right? So I'm going, that makes complete sense to me because I can envision that in a similar way. But based off of like the perspective from the POV that it was told to us, it made it seem like on her death, that power was divvied up in between 9 chosen ones.
Well, it would have been, part of it would have been divvied to the founding Titan, the person that successes her.
Yes, I understand. But in this picture, if this was Ymir Fritz...
Mm-hmm. It's probably just a representation of anyone who takes on the founding Titan role, because they will always be the lead of all of the Titans.
So do you think Ymir had more power than the founding Titan? Or the founding Titan was one of her powers that she passed on?
I feel like the original power that was given to her because she was the original person is the founding Titan power. And I think it's safe to say that it was normally given to the girls, because in the images we've seen, it's always, we see blonde girls partaking. But if we think to the Historia's father, only sons. Like him and his brother Yuri, there were 2 boys. So obviously you had to give it to one of the boys. But who was it given to? The firstborn girl.
That's true. I'm thinking that Ymir had more power than just that. Because the way that we learned about it in this episode, it was that Ymir made the deal with the devil of all earth and was bestowed the power of the Titans. Mm-hmm. And then only upon her death was it divvied up. It was something...
Like she had all of it within her, and then upon her death, maybe 9 people ate her? Or maybe, shared in her spinal fluid or something.
Who knows? Maybe it was just like you get it. I don't know. But maybe it was divvied up in a sense that it's like you get 30% of the power. All of you guys get like 10. Like there's still somebody who has the founding Titan power. But it also seems like
there's aspects. It makes me think of on the wall at the very end, he says, I'm gonna make this guy a 3 foot tall. And I'm like, so you can decide how tall, how strong, like any of that stuff.
So, okay. The 9 Titans off of Ymir after her death. I'm assuming in my head that they're intelligent.
Yes.
The mindless Titans, the one who are like, oh, I'm going to pick and choose how tall you are. Mm-hmm. That's different, you know? That's like a, oh yeah, you also can do that. That's not like your main thing. That's not the main thing about you.
I still hold true that I would rather be eaten by a ginormous Titan than one of those 3 foot, 4 foot something.
I think that I completely agree.
Feet. What is it, 30 feet?
3 meters?
3 meters, that's what it is. I'm like, feet, that is tiny.
That
would be even worse. It would be so painful.
It's a bit heartbreaking to think about Grisha like finding this person, marrying them. I get it from Grisha's point of view, but just to know the inevitable outcome of Zeke telling on his parents so that he can probably live what he knows.
It's an interesting parallel to Erwin, who accidentally turned his father over to the Interior Police.
Yeah. Marley leads the world.
That's a kid to be so willing for his parents to like die or be like tortured. That is crazy to me. Well, obviously he did not love them very much and they weren't very good parents.
So from what I understand, there are several civilizations in the world that we are unaware of that are about to play a decent amount of competition to any of the worlds that we know. From my understanding, it's like Marley's chill right now, but they're trying to make an advancement before somebody else overtakes them that we don't know.
Yes, it's like Marley is powerful right now, but they're definitely, it seems like they're in a state where there might be a war or might be more conflict with other places.
Because
they need resources, they need to fight, they need more warriors.
And as they say, as military technology advances it implies other places and other civilizations.
And why does military technology advance? War.
Yep. And just
fighting.
Time. And if all that Marley...
And because it's needed.
Yeah, but if all Marley is doing to hold their power is leaning on the fact that they have the power of the 7 Titans, then it's like, oh shit, it's only inevitable that one day technology advances to something beyond then. I mean, hell, does that not give Zeke a reason to go check to see if a certain civilization is at a point yet?
Is he wanting them to be ready to fight Marley? Is he wanting... Because we don't know what Zeke's whole intentions are. Because we are already introduced to this idea that there could be double agents or people who, yes, they are fighting for Marley, like Kruger, but they are siding with Eldian actually deep down, or maybe they don't actually fully think whatever they've been pushed to believe and or speak on.
Yeah.
So it could be safe to say that Zeke isn't necessarily doing this with the full intention of actually going through with wiping out humanity immediately.
So I have a question for you. Do you think that Zeke is a double agent? And if he is, was he when he put his parents to the stake?
That might have made him realize. He might have had a similar reaction to Erwin. Because Erwin didn't realize that telling something that his father said to him was a bad thing. And I don't think a child would understand that telling his grandparents what his parents told him and telling on them in that way would lead to their death, and to them disappearing from his life. I don't think a kid would think of it at that grand scale of severity.
He could have been told.
He probably just thought my mommy and daddy told me something I didn't like, and so I'm gonna go tell my grandparents.
Well, his grandparents could have been like, if you tell us, we'll take you to the movies Friday.
Yeah.
And that's that. And then he did it, and then this happened.
I doubt he thought what would happen would happen. And he blames his father for how he turned out. And we know now that his father never injected him with anything. It's almost like he feels like now he had to take that role that his father wanted him to take, especially because they killed his father.
Yeah.
So he thinks. Well, now he knows that they didn't kill his father. What is he trying to do? What is Zeke trying to do? I'm confusing myself.
I mean, the simplest reason is he's working for Marley, right?
Yes, but he still went along the path that his parents wanted him to, which was to become, I guess, this person that uses one of the 9 powers. This Eldian that uses it.
He's playing with an orangutan. Zeke,
Oh,
as
so
a
funny.
child, is
Oh my God.
playing as an orangutan. Orangutan confirmed.
That's really funny, actually.
That has made my month. That has made my year. I have never been this happy. Oh my God. Which brings, like, in mind, is your Titan whatever you imagine it? He's imagining an orangutan.
However you want it to look?
That's crazy.
I mean, most people would want it to look like themselves, so I would say it normally looks slightly like the person that it turned into. But his looks so different from how he looks, and I wonder if he, on purpose, didn't want it to look like himself.
So, like, we were given the whole notion that the king left a note 80 years ago saying that if you ever interfere with us, millions upon millions of Titans will flatten the entire world. Mm-hmm. We know the king, from what we understand, to be a pacifist, no?
Yes.
And he just wants his civilization to be left in peace.
He'd only be doing that if he and his people were threatened.
Is it like a stretch to think of the power of the Titans that the king had be comparable to, like, nuclear war?
Possibly.
I
mean, that many people that have now been multiplying for years into more and more people, all turning into Titans at once against people who cannot turn into Titans and only have weaponry.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting or something.
I almost feel like Marley won only because the king was a pacifist and led his people away.
Wasn't willing to kill or let all these lives be lost in it, you know? Like, okay, fine, take it. I'll go somewhere else.
And that's a really, like... that's not a great way to win, is to be given the win like that because someone doesn't want to fight you. That could be frustrating.
Yeah.
Fight me!
So, okay. The fact... This is hard to, like, talk about. The fact that Grisha's wife ate Grisha's wife has got to be the most fucked up thing I've ever
But it's so
witnessed.
funny at the same time.
I'll come and find you, no matter how long it
Who's
takes.
this woman?
Who's
in
this
your
bitch? Home wrecker. Like, and then literally wrecks the home.
husband.
Oh my God, it writes itself. I think I wish I had said it because you did, and I thought it. Mika's bedhead. Why did they have to do this?
Yeah, why
to
did
me?
they do
it's
that?
It's so
like,
great.
They didn't need to give her bedhead. They did not need to. And now I'm like, wow, Mikasa must be like a really sound sleeper, and I'm kind of jealous.
She looked great. I was
she just
like,
rolled out of bed. She was born like this.
It was. I loved it. And then we obviously came to the betrayal, thankfully, of Kruger, where he sides with Grisha because I think that you and I both assume he's an Eldian, right? Mm-hmm. And he has that chilling conversation.
He was somehow able to infiltrate that high up.
I'm the owl. I was gonna make like a whole joke in the outro because I wrote down like, oh, who? I wrote who is the owl, and I was like, oh, that's gonna come up, and then we found out who the owl was. Crazy.
Oh gosh. Shoot.
This is very similar to what Grisha had told Eren. Like, use your memories. Like, and then he's telling Grisha, like, remember this. A Titan uses their power like this. Is there a handbook? How does he know? Who gave you this power, Kruger? You know?
It seems like they might do the same thing that the Reese family did. That once the person that has the power starts to get old, they then have a new warrior eat that person. That appears to be what the Marleyan warriors do.
Yeah. I don't recognize the Titan that is Kruger.
It reminds me of Eren Titan, though.
I'm going to, like, guess that's Grisha's power, that Grisha's going to end up eating him. Like, that's the only thing that makes sense to me at the moment, that Grisha had the ability to turn into a Titan later in the series and doesn't have the power that we know now, you know?
I don't feel confirmed about that sort of thing. I don't feel like I have enough evidence to, like, lean either way, and inside my gut, there's no, like, I feel good with this, I'm gonna sit here kind of answer.
I had 3 more things. Or 4 more things. I am so sorry. But a couple of them are quick. Just to touch on, Aaron can see Grisha's memories.
Okay.
That's sweet. That's cool. Right? We might get to learn more.
Who doesn't want to see their parents' memories?
Next is that fossils are under Paradise or Paradise Island. That's interesting. And I wonder how that will play a role going forward. I don't think we've seen anything fossil-wise other than getting just close to the underground where Levi grew up. One question I had for you. How does this connect to Yuri's doomsday?
Yuri probably believed that eventually the Marlians were going to come after them. Because people always repeat that. They fought the Marlians fought them. The Marlians are going to fight them again because they ran away. Like, I think maybe he just knew that it was inevitable that war was going to happen because war always happens.
That's fair. And then the last thing I would like to do is... And then
I have a last thing after that. I have a last thing.
Do you want to go now since I have to find something?
Yeah. So my last thing, in my last thing, I wanted you to pull something up as well, so...
Well, I'm at my thing.
Yeah, let's
go
first.
with this, yeah? It's the whole conversation with Historia in regards to the book. What is it being ladylike mean? Well, I suppose being ladylike means being a lot like this girl right here, which is not identical, which I think is something to bring up, but it is something very similar to the Devil of All Earth and Ymir Fritz, and because in this sense it looks a lot like Ymir Fritz is handing the devil something rather than being handed something.
Doesn't she have an apple in that imagery from the Marlians as well?
I think so, but I don't think it looks like it's like identical in the sense that...
I was going to say she looks the same, but the devil doesn't.
Yes, he has a hood on. He's like shrouded in this.
And a lantern. Yeah. It doesn't seem as devilish. More just spooky and fantastical.
And she definitely implies that, like, this person's name is Krista, not Ymir, and Krista's always thinking about other people because she's so kind. You should try to be like Krista, too. Obviously, there is some knowledge, because she's the person who would have it, that this was done. This whole thing was done to help people, right? In their intention. That it was done to help other... She
was being kind.
Yeah, she was being kind. And... from what we know in and the episode that we just watched, do you remember where it was?
Where what was?
The same image.
The same image? The very beginning when the father was telling Grisha about their sins.
Cool. Yeah, here we go. It was in a forest and it was all woodsy, right? What did you call the
Curly
woods?
Fries.
Curly fries. Crunchyroll's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not loading. There we go.
No hood.
Hood. It's covered in fur, very beast-like. It's like the only thing that's the same is the face, even.
Well, it's... This is what I meant by it felt like Krista, instead of this history, Krista was offering it up. Offering, like, oh no, are you okay? Like, it felt very like,
instead of that she had been given the apple.
When the Devil of All Earth is like, oh yes, give it to me, you know? It seems like he is painted in more of an evil picture in this depiction, whereas the previous depiction, it was in more of Krista being helpful.
It could be seen as like maybe this was like a hag-like person. Someone deformed, someone on the outskirts of society, a monster, but that Krista was loving and kind and would communicate and give to those that had been ostracized and kicked out.
Yeah. Okay, what did you want me to pull up?
I wanted you to pull up when everyone gets pushed off the wall and turned into Titans, and I want us to play the game, Who Did That Titan Eat That We Know? Okay. And I'm going to go right to that guy with the beard, and I'm going to say, I know you.
Yeah?
Doesn't it look like the one that Armin was about to get eaten by and then Aaron pushed him out of the way and he was in his stomach?
He is the only one that looks familiar to me.
He is the only one, other than the one later. He is the only one that looks familiar to me.
But I agree completely that this old dude...
I need you to tell me who the one that eats the guy at the very end, the Marlian officer, that Titan, the 3-meter one, who's that one from? Like, where I can't completely, like, I recognize it so well, but I cannot place what scene we see this Titan in.
Dude, I am the same way, and I'm hating it. I can see
it so vividly, like it peeping around a corner, you know, but like I can't. I feel like it had to have eaten someone that we know to like make everything way more messed up. And I can't like put it into a specific
God, it's
moment.
so frustrating.
And it's so vivid at the same time. Like, who did it look at? Who did it make eye contact with?
It's one of the most well-known faces for me in regards to Titans in the story.
I know,
and it's so irritating. I can't
place it. I feel like someone's gonna need to like, maybe someone who's seen the show more times might be able to tell us.
That's just frustrating that I can't remember.
But
darn
it would literally take all night, I think, for us to sift through every episode and like peep at all the Titans that we've seen.
I could fit the Titan in so many different spots that it would make it impossible to find. God, I agree with you. It's something we know very well. But how crazy is it that Dina Fritz ate Hans?
And then Aaron is it Aaron that killed? Who killed Dina?
I don't think it even died. We saw all the Titans getting thrown at it.
All the Titans jumped onto Dina. Yeah. Okay. So Dina could still be alive, maybe? I don't know. Well, alive in Titan.
Man, that could be a story. Like, Zeke, save your mother now. Zeke, your father's alive inside of your brother. Your mother's right in front of you. Find a way to save her. You know?
Dang. Maybe he took on this warrior kind of job to be able to find them.
You know, Dina did eat Aaron's mom like she had a vengeance. Like she
was jealous.
Being
she was
petty
a jealous
about something.
Other I can't even say other woman because they were both his wives. So like really you need to channel that anger towards him.
Like
not
no annulment?
Other,
you seriously? Like I don't know.
He thought, you know, he did that thing that was like in like very like old school, you know. He went on a business trip to the next town over and he had another family there. He didn't think she was gonna be traveling.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. Some are incomplete, and this one page I took up like a third of a page just to write the word dogs.
How tasteful.
This episode has destroyed me. Like, my brain is on fire right now.
I just feel like this is one of those episodes that you need to rewatch or you need to, like, sit on for a little bit because it was so fact bomb that my brain is overloaded.
Okay, I've only had 2 moments in this entire series that are otherworldly to me. And what I mean by that is being given information that I have no basis to comprehend. Mm-hmm. The first one was the idea that people's memories could be erased. Right? That was pretty crazy. The second being Devil of all Earth. What is, like, I have so many questions that need to be answered in regards to Devil of all Earth. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I'm going to ask you a parting question because it's the last thing I can think of. How do you feel about all of this being given to us through a dream and not from reading the books that we just obtained? A dream of memories, his father's memories, and not from the books and him reading them.
Do you want to know why I love it?
I would like to know anything you think about it.
It gets a little deep.
Ooh. I like that.
The second that you are recounting history, regardless of how close that person is to you and what you know that person as, it has a bias. Mm-hmm. I have a weird history myself, and in regards to like family and adoption and the undying, and it's a very bothering thing to me sometimes. I will go to the end of my days in my life wondering the details of what led up to what happened in my life, mm-hmm. and what it compelled people to make the choices that they did.
But you only know
I only know what's written on paper.
Yeah.
I only know what's told to me from somebody's biased mouth. I don't know that actual memory, and Eren does. And I think that this is one of the few times in Attack on Titan that we have a history, an account from somebody that we can be absolutely sure that it happened. Yeah.
We can't maybe trust everything that Grisha learned in those memories, but we can trust what he did.
Yeah.
And why he did them, because that is what's real and true and cannot be changed, were those memories. So yeah, I like your point of view on that. You said you were going deep, and I didn't at first know why, but I like your reasoning for enjoying that it was from his memories and not just from us opening this book with photographs.
I don't even know if he would have told this story, or if he would have told it how he did.
Would he have shared that he had another wife? Maybe not. Would he have shared, how much blame did he put on himself for leading these people this way by trying to get his son to join them,
What's in the books that we don't know? Because we've been told a lot this episode that isn't in the books.
Well,
we don't know if it's in the books.
There we might see, is there bias in his books compared to what we've learned from his memories? Is there going to be things that Eren's like, that's not quite right. That's not what I saw.
I wonder why he did it that, yeah.
I wonder why he's trying to cover that up. There might be something like that.
I have so much. I feel like we could talk about this for hours, but this is probably a decently long discussion.
Yeah. And I feel like we've come to a good stopping place of
for now.
My brain is a little fuzzed out, and maybe,
I'm supposed to edit tonight. My brain's done. I'm fried. But yes.
It'll be okay.
We got this. You good?
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.
And let me know who that Titan is and who they ate, because I definitely can't put them in a place or a time, but I know that they did something.